Derek, thanks for taking the time. So one of the reasons I reached out to you, and I share this on some of these conversations that we just share very openly, is, FranNet itself is a franchise. And as you
Mhm.
know, within a franchise model, franchisees are just enormously supportive and helpful of one another, and we learn so much from each other. And I have been hearing really, really good things about koala insulation. And
Awesome.
um, and I really don't know anything about it other than, among me and my colleagues, like, you've got a great reputation. People are really, really happy. So I was just hoping we could learn more about koala insulation. And so how would you like to start? What would you like to start with to tell us about?
Okay. Let's kind of go back to like why the candidates they love koala and why, your other colleagues are talking about koala. I think that's kind of a good starting point. And
Okay.
it doesn't go to me, unfortunately. I can't take the credit. It goes to the franchisor. So Scott Marr is the CEO and the founder of Koala Insulation. Now, Scott, he's a young guy, but he got to start in business when he was 15 years old in Atlanta, Georgia. Started a company by the name of Fleet Clean USA. Fleet Clean was a commercial vehicle washing business. So they would go around and wash these big commercial trucks. Scott was 15, didn't have a license. You would pay some upperclassmen to drive him around. So we started learning how to be resourceful pretty young. Started expanding that business and started franchising in 2013. Between 2013 and 2018, they developed a national footprint, started ranking on the Entrepreneur Top 100 franchise list. That's when the private equity firm started calling. So he had a couple great offers, ended up exiting Fleet Clean all at the same time that he was launching Koala. The reason why he was launching Koala is he likes the businesses that are in a fragmented space, that are mobile, and also focus on people, tools, and equipment. He likes it because he knows how to support the franchisees, how to help them scale their business, and most importantly, how to market to the customer. When you're in a service-based business, how do you differentiate yourself? One of the easiest ways is going to be in marketing. So he really has that part dialed in, him and his team. Now, what Scott did is he started Koala Insulation in 2018. They opened up 3 locations, and they had those pilot locations running and just making sure that they were operationally efficient. And so they were, over the next 2.5 years, they spent that in development. He was making sure that he had the systems, the processes, and the people in the place to be able to support the franchisees. So the
Okay.
corporate
And this was
infrastructure,
still focused on 3 locations?
yes, yep.
Okay,
So they
got it.
basically, they weren't selling any franchises at that point in time. They were making sure that they were operationally sound. They had everything in
Got it.
place. So what he did is he made sure that he had all the systems, processes, and people. Right now, they have about 19 to 21 corporate employees. I'd have to double check the numbers. I know they've had some new hires, but they
Mhm.
built out their system as if they had 200 franchisees right now. Scott wanted to make sure that when he has a franchisee comes into the model, they're not growing with the franchisees. They already have the systems and the processes in place. That's how they make their money, is off of royalty, right? So like, how do we get higher revenue? Make sure that they're supported properly. So when you get into a system like Koala, they do everything internally. We have an internal marketing department. We
Mhm.
have an in-house call center. We have a franchise recruiter that helps you find your employees for your business. We have an outbound call center that's calling on contractors in the marketplace for you. We have an equipment engineer. So if you have problems with the equipment, if you don't know how to read a building plan, there's somebody internally for corporate you
Wow.
to call to if you're having an issue. So they really just try to build a system out, the right way. And that kind of goes back to like when he sold it to private equity, he could put his money where his mouth is. So he was building the system right out of the gate, and he's playing the long game. He went through and back built it. He's like, this is where I want to get to. How do I get there? This is what I need to have in place. So
I
that's
am
kind of what it goes
really,
back to.
yeah, I'm really, really happy to hear that. And granted, not all franchisors, not everyone's created equal. But I'm pretty just direct on these conversations. All
Good.
right.
Me too.
So yeah, oh good, good.
Yeah.
So one thing that I have witnessed over the years in franchising is, and I don't know if it's like a sales tactic or a scare tactic, frankly, but I have had some people come to me having already researched something on their own. They say, I'm gonna exaggerate here to make a point, but Emily, they awarded 300 locations last year, so I have to get in now before everything's sold out. And there's this fear of missing out. And my kind of stance is, well, are you going to be number 301 in line to get support to
Yeah.
get your grand opening? Like, how is a franchisor, are they built to support the expansion, the rapid
Mhm.
growth? And like you said, sometimes they grow with the development. And
Mhm.
if it's even in the strategically done, great. But what I'm hearing with Koala is that they've got the foundation in place in their headquarters to support an onboarding or a rapid growth strategy. Is that correct?
It is. It is. So
Okay.
to give you an example, like I started working with Scott back in December, the beginning of December. At that
Okay.
point in time, there was about 11 corporate employees. They were still outnumbering their franchisees at that point in time because they didn't
Yeah.
start selling franchises yet. But
Okay.
over the last, call it 8, 9 months, they've brought on close to another 10 employees, part of the corporate team. So they're quick to evolve. They're quick to hire. They're very forward thinking.
Nice.
He took the playbook that he used with Fleet Clean, knew how to
Uh-huh.
do it, and he's like, how do I do it better? And when I sat down with Scott,
Mm.
I was like, Scott, what's your overall goal? He's like, my first goal is I want my first franchisee to have better support and a better experience than my last franchisee did with Fleet Clean. And he's really just doing that. So
Nice.
he's there. It's a great team over there. Young, very
Nice.
energetic team, forward thinking, um, very fun. Those guys are awesome to be around with.
Excellent. Yeah, that's huge. I mean, I
Mhm.
think a lot of people entering franchising for the first time, there is a lot of focus and concern on what level of support am I going to get from the franchisor, which obviously is really important. But also there's this thing that we talk about, and as cheesy as it sounds, we talk about the franchise family and
Yeah,
just how fantastic it is to work with like-minded people side by side and to have these relationships, and culture is so important.
it is.
So great
You
to hear
gotta
that.
you gotta align with them because if you're talking with a franchisor that's somebody that you would never want to call, it's probably not a good business for you to get into, right? Or vice
There's this
versa. For a franchisor, if you don't want to talk
right.
to that candidate, probably you shouldn't sign them to sell them a franchise.
Right. And it's so, I mean, I wish I could find a better analogy, but marriage is just about the
Yeah,
best analogy I have found when you're entering into a franchise model. And it's like, when we meet the other franchisees, it's kind of like we're going to meet the family. Like you've been
yeah,
dating someone and now you're going to their place for Christmas and we're going to meet the family,
yeah,
So we're marrying
yeah.
into it, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, and some of the first things I heard you say, just as you were talking about, service-based business, low overhead. And these are the things that we really see people focusing on during uncertain times. So during
Mhm.
the Great Recession, during the dot-com bust, during 9/11, and now we're in the thick of COVID, we're really seeing people focus on businesses with the exact characteristics that you
Mhm.
mentioned with Koala. So how's development going during COVID? I know people listening are going to be wondering.
Yeah. So back, let's call it March when COVID happened, right? Everything
Yeah,
was scary. We didn't know what was going on. The franchise, everybody was panicking. Nobody knew what to do. Never been there before.
right.
The franchisees, they did scale back a little bit. They went from working about 40 hours a week down to about 28 hours a week. That happened for 2 to 3 weeks, and they were right back up to normal.
No
It,
kidding.
yeah, we were deemed an essential business. Not only that, folks, unfortunately, they were losing jobs, right? So this is one of the few things that you could do to your house that you're going to save money on. So if you were to re-insulate your house, you're able to save money on utility bills. Even if you wanted to go finance it, a lot of times what you're able to see is that you're saving more money on your utility bills than what you're spending on the financing. This is one of the few services that you could do to your house that you get an ROI on without selling your home. You could paint your house,
Mm,
you could put in new floors, you could put in a new kitchen. That all increases the home value, but you have to sell the house to get that value out of it.
right,
This is something you
right.
can do to get a payback on from day one.
Nice.
Even when COVID was going crazy at that point in time, I had a franchisee that was in Daytona, Florida. It's an elderly crowd over there. So a lot of them were like, hey, I don't want you to come inside of the house.
Mhm.
But their attic ladder is in the garage. They open up their garage door, they'd go in there, do the installation. We would use our technology, send them pictures of what we did, contact list, they'd pay their payments and going about the day. So they were still operating.
Wow, that's fantastic. I love hearing that. And of course, we need to get into the nuts and the bolts of the business because we're talking about an insulation company. But when I heard you say technology,
Yeah.
and when I heard you say you take pictures to show people what you
Yep.
did? Because I have a past client who was in a service-based business, and he was where it was home improvement, but he said the biggest challenge about the service he was providing is that people couldn't see the difference he was making. It was something, I guess you could say, similar. And he said,
Yeah.
people, it's really hard to write a check when somebody's like, I can't see what you did. But you're saying that you provide insulation with technology and visual proof.
Yeah.
So tell me about
Yeah.
that.
So that's one thing that I really like about the business is, we use tools and equipment to help educate the homeowner. So I'm a sales guy, but I'm skeptical by nature, right? Somebody's trying to sell me something, like, what are you trying to get at me here? So uh, the way that our system would work is like, if you call me up and ask for an estimate, I'm going to come out to your house. And I'm going to bring out some thermal cameras, some laser measures and thermometers. So I'm going to image your walls. I'm going to image your attic cavity. By doing that, I can show you the areas that need opportunity. There's no way around it. This is what a good wall looks like. This is what a bad wall looks like. We're also able to temperature test the wall, so I can show you, hey, this wall is way hotter than all your other walls are. That's due to insulation. So we're able to factually show the homeowner that, because insulation, it is out of sight, out of mind. It's something that's behind the wall
Right.
that does provide a value to them. So by using those tools and equipment, it really feels like you're providing a service to the homeowner where you're not selling them something that they don't want, right?
Right. Right.
So we
Oh,
use that.
that's
And then
fantastic.
we have apps too that, I could send them pictures. I could show them like, hey, this is what your insulation was. I can measure your insulation. So I can show you like, hey, you have an R value, R20 inside of your attic. Code in Florida is going to be an R34. If we bring it up to code, this is how much you could save on your utility bills. And so we're able to factually show data and just educate. So all of our marketing and all of our sales process, it's all educational by nature.
Love it. Love it.
Mhm.
And so I've never heard, I'm completely ignorant to this industry. I've never heard of R value. So what are we looking for owners, new franchisees to have some type of experience or knowledge when it comes to this kind
No,
of thing? Or what are you looking for in a candidate?
I'm looking for a lot of the franchisees right now are going to be white collar executives, somebody that worked for a big business. Like
Yeah.
we had one sign today that worked for Nike for 30 plus years. I think he was like the
Hmm.
35th employee. He was a Nike executive, ran their golf division. So I'm looking for somebody that has a white collar background that can speak a blue collar language. So white collar
Mm,
because you're competing against the local mom and pop guys. To give
mm,
you an example, like local mom and pop guys, they won't have a website sometimes. You bring in a white collar person, he's like, why would you not have a website? It just doesn't make sense. They operate a
mm,
business how that it should be done and how you're taught in school. But you
mm-hmm.
also got to be able to speak a blue collar language because you're talking with contractors and you are talking with hourly employees. So you can't go to a contractor presentation with a PowerPoint. That's not going to work. They do business with people that they like. So you got to be able to bring it back down and speak that blue collar language.
Right. Right. Got it. Okay.
Mhm.
And so give me an idea of the role of the owner. Are they climbing up in attics? I'm guessing not based on what you
No.
just shared, but let's be clear.
Yeah.
So what's the role of the owner? Typical day in the
Yeah.
life. I own koala insulation.
Okay.
What?
So there would be two different business models, like a semi-absentee and an owner-operator. I have quite a few folks that are coming in doing the owner-operator now, and then they're going to evolve and go back into corporate America when things settle back down. So
Mm,
what they're doing is they're running the operations piece. They're doing their marketing and advertising input with our department heads. They're reviewing the financials, and some of those guys are also doing estimating too. So they're going to
okay.
the homeowners, they're helping do those estimates to get the ball rolling. And then their goal is to bring on a salesperson and to eventually go back into corporate America. And then you would hire two technicians that are going to be doing the labor piece. I don't want a single franchisee that's going to be doing the labor piece of it, because that's something that you could pay 16 to 18 bucks an hour for. And if you're doing that piece of it, you're stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. Focus on the growth of the business, get the leads coming in, do some of the networking, do some of the outreach on it, and focus on the overall growth of the business.
Got it. What's it like the labor pool? Is it hard to find people with this skill set?
We have an in-house recruiter, so no, it's not hard to. And I mean, even prior to COVID, right now it's a lot easier to find workers, right? But even prior to COVID, we weren't having a problem by doing that. Um, so no, I would say no. And
It,
if the way I would look at it too is if the franchisor is helping out with that, If it was something that was that difficult, they would pass that back onto the franchisee. Like, you guys got to deal with this part of it.
Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, I did not know that you had an in-house recruiter. And when you answered that, I just started to laugh to myself because that sounded totally staged and it was not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was laughing. I was like, I had no idea you had an in-house recruiter. And I just, for the record, people, and then I'm just thinking, what are some common questions and common concerns my clients have when, if I tell them about a business opportunity, sometimes people are immediately like, oh no, that's going to be too hard to staff. Or, they
Mhm.
see the challenges, understandably. So I'm just kind of looking at it through their lens. And I was really happy to hear that you've got that level of
Yeah.
support at the parent company. That's fantastic.
The common questions
Um,
that we get are, like, what are my roles? What am I going to do in the business? Who
mhm,
are my employees? How do I get them? Who are my
mhm,
customers and how do I get them? So, I
mhm.
mean, the two things that we can't do, like, obviously we can't do the role for the business, but we can help you out with the marketing and we can help you out with the employees part of it. So how do we make more money as a team, as a franchisor and franchisees, is making sure that they have all those systems and the people in place to help out. Take that legwork off
Awesome.
and focus on the growth of the business.
Love it. So let's talk marketing strategies, customer acquisition.
Mhm.
What methods are in place, or what kind of marketing are the owners executing here?
Great question. So we have two different customer profiles. I have residential homeowners and I also have contractors. Starting
Mm,
out, we target the residential homeowners. The reason why is it's cheaper to market to you. Also, it's faster to profitability. If I came out to your house and I gave you a quote, I could do the job the next day if my calendar permitted. Now, if
mm,
you were a contractor and I came out there and started talking with you, you typically have the jobs booked 4 to 8 weeks in advance. You're not going to kick somebody else off the job because you like me. So, hey, 4 to 8 weeks, I have a free break. I'm going to try you in here. They usually pay on a 45-day net term. So it takes a little
okay.
bit longer to become profitable targeting those contractors. They're a great business though, because those are going to be more the repeat, where a residential homeowner, there's not going to be a lot of repeat business with that. As far as targeting the homeowners, like I was saying, all of our marketing is educational by nature. So we do social media pages, social media advertising, retargeting ads, search engine optimization, Google AdWords, our national website. We got
Mm,
about 22 different ways that we get leads coming in. But a lot of it, I'm going to target you where, hey, the temperature starts to heat up. So if you live in Texas, it's starting to get scorching out there. As that starts to rise up, that's when the leads start coming in. Or out there where you guys are, and when it starts to drop down a little bit, it takes a lot more for me to warm up this house inside of here. How do I combat
right.
that? So those are going to be the trigger points of what we're looking for. And then the contractors, that part of it, it's a little bit longer of a sales cycle. So we also have an in-house B2B sales department. What Rick and the team are doing is they're calling on the contractors, they're creating those relationships, creating the bids, and they're passing those jobs back onto the franchisees.
Got it. Got it. Fantastic. And I understand that this can vary from state to state, but
Mhm.
to the best of your knowledge, are there any licensing requirements or is there any red tape that owners might need to cut through in certain areas of the country?
Um, if you were in California, unfortunately, hopefully there's nobody from California on the line. California, Nevada, there's going to be about 3 other states that are going to be kind of difficult. You would need a contractor's
You need a
license in,
contractor's
but
license. Yeah.
everybody else
Yeah.
is going to be pretty easy.
Okay. Yeah. I know that that's common in California with a lot of brands.
Yeah.
So those of us up in Oregon, Washington, Idaho, are you registered in
Yep.
Washington?
We have applied. It hasn't come back
Okay.
yet. We're waiting on that.
Gotcha.
That was
Gotcha.
back in
Prob-
January, so it should be back soon.
It's probably another thing that people are learning as they're hearing me talk to franchisors is, oh, this a lot of
Mhm.
people just aren't aware that Washington is a registration state. So for those of us in the Pacific Northwest, koala insulation is available in Oregon and Idaho,
It
and we're
is.
pending registration in Washington. Come on, we can do it. Okay,
One
great.
thing to point out too is our average invoices are going to be higher in your marketplace because you need more insulation in your homes. So, like, I live
Oh,
in Tampa. Our value in Tampa has to be an R34 if I had a brand new house. Up by you guys, it's going to be closer to an R60. So there's a lot more products that go into those houses. So it's
wow.
not that it's a licensing problem, but
Mhm.
it's more heavily regulated where they have to have more adequate insulation and something that's controlled a little bit more.
Got
That's
it.
pushed more in your marketplace.
And so would an ideal territory for something like koala insulation potentially be an area with somewhat older homes?
Combination of both of them. So yes, older
Okay.
houses, because that's going to be the
Okay.
residential homeowners.
Yeah.
And then you also want some new growth area if you do have that.
Okay.
Like our item 19 is going to be off of usually an older housing market. So it
Okay.
is very doable, and they have a strong item 19.
Okay. And for those of you that are, sometimes we throw around these words like item 19, and item 19, it's financials
Yeah.
representation. So you can see
Yeah.
what's going on, the
It's not a
numbers,
menu
everybody wants to
items at
see the
McDonald's.
numbers. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So speaking of numbers, what kind of investment are we looking at to enter into a koala installation?
It'd be anywhere from 120 to 159 for a one territory market.
Okay.
And then our item 19 first year average is going to be about $467,000 in revenue. And that's producing a $167,000 return, 167 EBITDA.
Is
So
that in your, that's in your item 19?
it is 35% margin.
Well, on that, gee, thanks, Derek. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Reach out to Emily. I got some
I did
availability in my
actually,
calendar.
yeah, I did actually see that, like, wow, this conversation's flying by. We do need to wrap up, but that is a highlight to wrap up on. So we'll just stop there. Um, Excellent, Derek. Thank you so much. I will be sharing this recording to, you know, people that have expressed an interest at some point in time in business and franchise ownership. Congratulations on the success of Koala.
Thank
Do
you.
you want to share quickly how many territories have been awarded?
Yeah. So when we started with Koala, we had about there's 3 locations that were open. I think right now with the deal that we had signed today, we have 21 more that are online, and there's a couple more that are behind them too. So we're just starting to catch fire right now. We didn't start selling awarding franchises till the end of January, so it's taken a little bit to walk through that process, and we're really just starting to catch on. One of the first franchisees that I helped place into the business is at training right now, so it's starting to come full circle pretty quickly. It's a business that you can get open in 9 to 12 weeks if you wanted to.
In the thick of COVID.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for providing so much information. And again, congratulations on the success of Koala Insulation. I see why my colleagues speak so highly of you and the brand. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
All right, you take care.
All right, bye.
Okay, bye.